So, excuse me, we'll just close that door. It's a bit noisy, there's a few birds out there making a bit of a noise. So welcome back to the shed from your man in the shed. Quick question for you, why does that happen? Why is the writing on my shirt around the wrong way? Who knows? Maybe we'll find out today. Probably not, because I don't have the answers and I wasn't necessarily planning on looking it up. This isn't a WhatsApp, an Ask Google. Almost forgot the name of it. So I was in the summer doing some serial killers, true crimes, things like that, which obviously I haven't done for a little while. We'll possibly look to get that going. But at the moment I do have on my community page, and I'm going to do this now and finish it in the end of October. I will take the result. Currently winning is the beginning of the First World War till the end of the Second World War and everything that happened in between there, which will be done as an Ask Google. Quick sip of coffee because it's been a whole minute since I started talking and there's still no one watching, but that doesn't really matter. So here we are coming live from the south of England today. The weather is, shall we call it, autumnal. It's a bit wet, it's a bit blowy, it's a bit not the nicest day out there today. It's you sort of feel winter could be coming, which is not necessarily something that we're particularly looking forward to. So the thing is with the live stream then is when you go live, obviously you need some people to actually join you to make it sort of worth being live, because I could have just filmed this video and be done with it, but I thought no, we will go live to the world. The world is watching, or in my case not watching. Here we are. So I went live last Monday. I was in Wolverhampton for a couple of days up there doing a cook-off for work. We were going through the new menu. Did find it rather amusing when I got home after nobody had mentioned anything that my restaurant is now going to be on a reduced menu, which is perfectly fine. That's not a problem. The issue for me is, why didn't anybody bother to tell me that, oh, by the way, Andy, your menu is now going to be slightly smaller. We're not going to have every item on it, which suits me because it means that it's easier to control stock and there's less of it to potentially throw away. There are some bits to it which I think, well, why do that on that day with no others? Like, for example, we have a dessert which is on 1 day a week. Really? You want me to do one dessert 1 day a week? What's wrong with these people? Anyway, let's not worry about that. That's happened. That is a thing. I'm sure the powers that be think that they know what they're doing, so we'll leave it there. We don't want to talk about work on a day off because it's a day off and we don't really need to worry about things like that today. So back in the shed today, thought it would be a nice change to show that the shed hasn't gone, and the title Man in a Shed sort of still sticks, even though I seem to do more of my videos from the car and various other places right now. So what are we going to be talking about today? So I thought we'd do a little talk about environmental issues, things that affect us day in, day out, and things that affect the planet long term. Also things like how humans have taken the world and made it the way we modeled it. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? The way we do farming, with whether that be crops or livestock, and various other ways that we may go about feeding ourselves, and then possibly the livestock, and the fertilization, and how we have gone about and potentially destroyed other things. Also health. We'll talk a little bit about health and how COVID is affecting us, certainly here in the UK, and the little we know about how it is affecting others around the world. And then, you never know, we might talk a little bit about football. Who knew? Who knew there'd be some football in this? Anyway, quick sip of my coffee, because why not? So we're going to start then with the environment and how does that affect us on a day-to-day basis. Well, it does. You look at, every nation, I think, especially now Donald Trump's gone, want to become greener, because being more environmentally friendly is going to be better. But how is that going to be good for, say, the Middle East, where they have the oil, or Russia, where you have your gas and oil? How is that going to affect them? Because these countries are extremely rich at the moment. Let's take Saudi Arabia, for example, incredibly rich, oil-rich nation. Well, if the Western world think, no, we're not going to use petrol and diesel and oil anymore, we're going to stop, and that stopped today, and we all went electric through wind and through sun with forgot the word. Oh, there we go again, forgetting things. But through the power of the sun and the wind and oceans and basically green energy, how could we sustain our current lifestyle? This is the thing with things like electric cars. In principle, yeah, a great idea. Practically, I can go and fill my car up with petrol or diesel, depending on what type of fuel your car is, and I can fill that up in less than 5 minutes. When I plug in my electric car, am I going to be able to fully charge that so I could go 300-400 miles in 5 minutes? Well, the answer is no. Even if you have a fast charging battery, there's no way it can last that long. Eventually, who knows, possibly they could, but the thing is, what happens when the batteries run out? They're only going to last so long. One of the things I do find absolutely hilarious and fascinating is how NASA have some very talented and very clever scientists doing all sorts to go around the world and go out into space and send, let's say, Voyager or Voyager 2 or the Mariner 10, all these incredible space probes which they send off to the deepest, darkest places, whether it's going to Mars or whether Jupiter or Pluto or beyond. Voyager 2 is now the furthest man-made object away from the Earth. The incredible thing is they are still getting communications from it, and it's billions and billions of miles away. My question to you here is this: I do get that out in space there isn't any other possible disruption to it with regards to telephones and Wi-Fi and all these things that affect us. Just put the microwave on in the kitchen and you can't watch your man in the shed on his YouTube channel anymore. Other YouTube users, of course, are available because the microwave affects how the Wi-Fi works. So how come NASA can still communicate with a probe which is beyond the stars, going out of our solar system into whatever they want to call the next bit before it gets to the next solar system? How come NASA can still communicate with that now and that left in the 1970s and it's still working? How come they can communicate with that but I can't take the phone call in my front room if I'm sat in the middle of it because there's walls in the way. How is that possible? Okay, I know there's no walls in space, but it's a hell of a long way away, and they can still talk to it. They can still get basic commands to it. How is that possible? And I can't talk on my phone. Or if the microwave's on, I can't watch my favourite YouTuber, Man in the Shed, Andy P, in his shed. Also, does that actually work? So say I'm watching my own YouTube videos, which sometimes I might do because I find it a laugh. Quite often I just put them on play and I don't actually watch them. Not going to lie to you. I do that with lots of YouTube channels. I will play them when I'm at work, have them as a sound, not really watch them. The adverts are quite annoying, but there you go. I'm not going to pay for premium because I've already got a couple of other TV packages I pay for, plus our main TV package at home, and it just gets way too expensive to keep buying things. Anyway, how is this gone on to space and Voyager 2 when it was supposed to be about the environment? Why does that happen? Why? It was supposed to be about the environment. Why does that happen? Why? Sorry, I wasn't shouting at you, I was just shouting at myself. Stupid boy. So, how has the planet changed since humans decided, you know what, these fun things, they're quite useful. I think they could help us and we could build better stuff than living in this shitty little cage. Let's go out there and use our hands and actually do something useful. It's also incredible really when you think it was only in the late 19th, early 20th century when flight became a thing. And then in 1967, 69, man landed on the moon. Do you not find that's quite incredible? You know, we somehow developed the technology to be able to fly a little bit. We then took that technology and expanded on it, and then we created engines that could take us from, I don't know, let's say from England, so London to New York, for example, or London to Paris, which is a hell of a long way. And then we managed to strap, hello there, whoever's watching, we then managed to strap an engine or a rocket to a space shuttle and send it up into space where it could actually get to the moon. It's amazing that in less than 100 years we managed to learn to fly and then fly into space, and now we've got Voyager 2, which is off beyond the stars, almost leaving our own solar system, which is incredible. It's gone many miles from planet Earth. It's a bit odd. So hello whoever you are, welcome to the shed. It's your Man in the Shed. Hope you are well. Let us know where you are viewing from, so I have a little idea of where you are. That would be great, and welcome. So yeah, so we've taken literally something that could fly, or we couldn't fly, and now we can fly it all around the world. We're pretty much now able to fly from the UK to Australia almost non-stop now, and I'm sure in the next few years, although they are trying to make them a little bit greener, they will be able to soon fly from probably Heathrow to Sydney, and the speeds will just get a bit quicker. That's the worst thing for me, is when you do have to fly anywhere around the world, or even locally, it's the time you have to get to an airport and not just outside your home, although we do have one and you possibly may hear some planes flying overhead. We have one at Eastleigh, but that's still, if I was to walk it, it's still nigh on half an hour to walk, and then you get your luggage. Then you got to get in there and you got to check where you always got to check in, certainly for international flights, a couple of hours in advance. So let's say today I decided I was going to fly to, let's say, Australia. So day before I'd probably pack my bags, because why would you pack it any sooner than that? Because imagine you pack your bags 2 weeks in advance. What are you going to wear? What the hell are you going to wear? How many clothes do these people have that you can afford to pack weeks and months in advance? So you pack your clothes day before. Like I say, doesn't take long. Chuck a few smellies and some toothpaste and your toothbrush, and as you can see, I probably don't really bother combing my hair, but maybe some shampoo and some body wash into my bag, and make sure it's stuff which is allowed to go in there. So that's taking me 20 minutes. Then going to get that downstairs. Got to get to the airport. So if I'm driving, I drive. So if I were to go to Australia, I'd go probably to London Heathrow, which I would give myself at least 2.5 hours to get to London Heathrow. So drive to London Heathrow. So that's two and a half, possibly 3 hours to get there. I've then got to park. That can take half an hour somewhere like Heathrow. You then got to get from the car park to the terminal, which again, they're not literally on the doorstep. This is a bleeding big airport. It can take a good hour maybe to get into the airport, to get to your check-in point. You then check in. They always advise 2 hours in advance. So you're now looking, once you've checked in and once you've gone through 2 departures, you're now probably looking at 5 hours roughly. You've then got to wait a couple of hours to be called to the plane. So you go around this airport and you look at duty free, and you go and look in the shops, and you think, well, this is all very nice, but it's a bit expensive, and to be fair, I can't be bothered to sit here for too long looking at the stuff which is to be bought in the shops. So you wander around a bit and you probably think, oh, I better charge my phone, because aeroplanes are not going to have anywhere to charge your phone. Don't actually need a phone on an airplane, because you're not actually allowed to use it, which is kind of baffling. So you then, sorry, have got a bit of cold, it's not COVID, don't worry. So you then wander around the airport and you're pre-board, and you're just waiting for it to come up to tell you where you can go then. So then maybe with 45 minutes to go, it'll come up and say, oh, you got to go to a gate wherever. You've then got the longest walk in the history of mankind to go to wherever you need to check in. And then you get these escalator things which you step on, and they seem to take forever. So you step on it and it takes you to wherever you're going. And it seems that you're walking for hours and hours and hours. I reckon all you're doing is they're sending you round and round in circles, and you're just going past the same plane again and again and again, and it's just a bit of a laugh. Anyway, after walking for about what seems 5 or 6 miles, you finally get to this little seated place where you've got a toilet and you've got enough seats for however many people are going to be on your plane. So it could be up to 300 for long haul, I would imagine, possibly more. Don't know, don't really care. I'm not going to Australia today, so it doesn't really matter, but if I was. So then you go from, they then let you on the plane. That takes, what should we say, that takes about half an hour, 40 minutes to get everyone on the plane, hoping that everyone is then sat on that plane on the seat they're supposed to, because if they're not, you're just going to be like, really? So someone hasn't turned up, but their luggage is on there. So this is when security risk comes in. So then everyone has to get off the plane. Oh, great, we'll get off the plane. But you're not allowed to leave that little seated area. You have to stay there. You might be allowed to go to the toilet. You're then on this, out of this plane, because they've then got to find the bag that these people who didn't turn up to take off had, because potentially it could be a security risk, it could be a bomb or anything in it. So they then go through, they find the bag, they take the bag off, they check the bag they've already scanned it, but they're probably going to scan it again. They're then going to probably get the little robot come out and blow it up and find out that it was just Mrs. Perkins' pink pants, but she fell asleep somewhere and now her pants are all blown up. But never mind. You know, she should have got on the plane. She shouldn't have fallen asleep. Does that ever happen? Do people ever fall asleep because they're so bored in an airport and they forget to set a timer and then they're sat there and the planes are trying to take off? So that then causes a delay. And when you're on a 24-hour flight or whatever, could there be anything worse? I remember coming back from JFK even in New York. We had, I think it was an hour and a half delay. We were getting on the plane. I think we were supposed to take off at midnight US time, but we ended up taking off about 1:30. So the delay wasn't too bad, but we're then looking at it being from 6 a.m. in the morning here to 7:30 in the morning here, and yeah, we're a bit tired by then. So anyway, so everyone's got off. Mrs. Perkins' pink pants have been blown up because who knew, there could have been a bomb in there, even though they scanned it, and they scanned it probably again, and then they got the thing out to blow it up. Never mind. Anyway, her pants are now all over the airport because they've been blown up by this little robot. Not really sure what I'm talking about now. Anyway, they then gotta get all the luggage back on. The pilot's then gonna get the motor running again, and we all get back onto our seats and we all get welcomed back on, and first class probably get their champagne again, so not all bad for them. And then you get crammed into these seats and your legs are right against them because, let's be fair, we can't all travel first class. So it's a bit tight, the seating, which is fine if you're traveling to Spain, but when you're going to Sydney, Australia, something like that, you're thinking, well, this is going to be comfortable, or even New York. That was possibly one of the most uncomfortable 12-hour flight, 8-hour flights, but never mind. We had a great time when we were there, and we did enjoy it. It's just the getting there part. This is what I'm going at here. It's not the potential holiday in Australia or wherever, which is what I dislike. It's the preparing for it and the traveling part. If it's a long haul, it's hellish. So you get on your plane and now you have to get your slot. So you've already lost your slot because Mrs. Perkins and her pink pants caused you to be delayed. So they now take you up to the runway, but not the main runway. You're now on one of the runways which takes you to the runway. So you're now sat there. Why have you left? This is a great story and you've left. You disappoint me, my man. Anyway, you're now sat on the runway. You're waiting for you to take off, and this can now take anywhere between 15 and 40 minutes. So now you've had your 5 hours to get to the airport, to get to the plane. You've then had to wait another hour because Mrs. Perkins and her pink pants have been blown up. So we're now looking at the best part of a day's work just to get on the plane at the airport. This isn't, this is forgetting let's go to bed early because we got to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go to the airport because, let's be fair, you always want to have an early flight. So you're now at the airport, you're about to take off, you're now on the runway. You can hear the engines roaring and they're ready to go. And then whoosh, you fly down the airport and you think, oh, if I have a window seat, I'll be able to see everything out the window. You think, that's going to be amazing. I can look out the window. And then you find that the window is in line with the seat in front or behind you. It's like, well, you've got a window seat, but I don't actually have a window. How does that happen? But, that's the joy of flight for you. So you're now sat with this window not near you, and you think, well, it's all right because I'll be able to fly. If you're stuck on the wing, the only thing you're going to see out the window, surprisingly, is the wing. Anyway, if you are lucky enough to actually have a window that you can see out of, if it's a nice sunny day when you're taking off in London, because that ever happens, you're probably going to be able to see out the window for 4 or 5 minutes when you can actually work stuff out and you're getting bigger and it's like, oh, look at those cars, they look like ants now. Yeah, of course you do. Anyway, you then get up so far that the cloud you can't see from the floor, as in when you're here sat in terra firma, you can't see it's a blue sky. Suddenly there's cloud and you can't see jack shit. So you're then sat there looking out this window at clouds for the next however many hours you're flying. So we'll go to Australia, probably going to stop somewhere like Hong Kong or Singapore. So you're probably looking at, I don't know, maybe 14, 16 hours of flying, and all you're seeing is cloud. Good choice. To me, if I fly, it has to be the aisle seat because it means that I can cheekily get my feet out there and get a little bit of comfort. So my personal tip to you is this: do not sit next to the window. The window is good when you're landing and when you're taking off. And if it's raining or cloudy when you're landing and taking off, I wouldn't even sit there. It's pointless. Not that you get a choice, because you get a ticket and you sit where you're told. Imagine that. Imagine having a plane when you get free for. I just sit where you like. What? I'll sit next to the pilot, please. Imagine that. He must have a... Imagine being a pilot on a long haul flight. It must be the most boring job in the world. It's like, hello, this is your pilot talking. Your captain talking. We are currently flying at 45,000 feet and I am bored as hell. The computer is flying the plane. I am going for a nap. So there must always have to be someone who's awake. I don't know. I'm not really much of an expert on aviation. I can't believe people want to leave this. How did anybody want to leave this incredible talk about, well, it just randomly happened. So anyway, you're now sat on the flight and you're landing, I don't know, mate, let's say we land in Singapore because why not? Now, when you get there to Singapore, you spend, I believe, a couple of hours in whichever airport you land in. Are you then allowed to leave the plane? And if you're allowed to leave the plane, are you allowed to go out of departures and go and have a look around wherever it is you landed? Because if you're there for a couple of hours, well, you're not going to have time for you to come back in. But if you were to land there for, say, I don't know, 12 hours, are you allowed to go and have a little peekaboo about the city? Or do you have to stay in a certain area in an airport? I don't know, never done it. Just asking a question. So then you get back on the plane and hopefully Mrs. Perkins' pink pants do not end up all over this airport. I imagine I quite charred her pants now and possibly not back on the airport anyway. So then you hope that everyone does get back on and then you take off and you finally land in Australia, in Sydney, and all's good. Hopefully you've not had too many delays and you get there within, say, 24, 28 hours. You'd be absolutely knackered. When they talk about jet lag, when I went to New York, we didn't really feel too much of it, but coming home back, you did feel it. I think it's because we were excited and we were there, and that I do know that we were waking up at about 2 o'clock in the morning their time because we're still in English, still working in English time, and yeah, you did. There were certain times when we certainly felt tired, but you just get on with it. But anyway, so now you landed in Australia and you've then got to spend another hour in getting into the country. I don't know how hard it is to get into Australia, but New York is pretty tight security. I imagine Australia is pretty tight because they don't want us bloody bums going over there too much anyway, do they? So you land in Australia, you go through customs, which can take an hour and a half, I suppose. Then you pick up your stuff, which hopefully by then is actually coming through. Sometimes you get through and it's like, any chance we can have our luggage? And then people always try to be a bit quirky with their luggage by sticking certain things on it so that they can identify it. So it comes through, you finally pick it up, probably been around there about 7 times. You always get the one dick by there who thinks he's God's gift and should be allowed to have his straight away. Anyway, so you then get on one of those little trolleys. You always get the one with the broken wheel. Have you ever noticed that? It's a little wobbly wheel, so it's like, doesn't really want to be a wheel. So you finally push that through to where the taxis are, or where you're getting your charter drive from. You then get in that, so you got a charter to take you to your hotel, like you do on a package holiday when you go to Spain. You then get on the bus and they read out your name, and then the wife spends the next 2 hours thinking, think we're on the wrong bus. No, they read out our name, we're on the right bus. Or they told us the number, that's the number we needed, we're on the right bus. So you then get there and you get out and it's different to what it was in the picture. Yeah, on the picture it wasn't still being built. So you then get out and you get into your resort, and you've had your 24-hour flight, your 2 hours getting out of the airport with security and picking up your luggage, and then possibly a 2-hour flight. So you're now looking, and plus your stopover, don't forget stopover, you're probably looking at part 2 days just to get to your holiday. Why do we do it, people? Why, oh why, oh why? Anyway, there you go. There's your story. I don't really know how I went from there, from NASA to flying to Sydney. Never been to Sydney, never been to Australia. Wouldn't want to really go somewhere where the insects are deadly, because, not being a Nancy or nothing, but I prefer it when we're in charge of the spiders don't scare the shit out of you and can't kill you by biting you. But there you go. Anyway, we are going to leave it there. Anyone who did join, I hope you enjoyed however long you bothered to watch. It was a pleasure talking at you. I say at you. That is one of the perks, of course, of the YouTube, is you can just play this and you can just talk absolute dribble, and if anyone wants to come and join you, then they are definitely more than welcome. But if they don't, never mind. This has been your man Shared, live around the world off of the internet. Would have liked to have known where my fellow person had come from. He didn't bother to let me know. I will, of course, let you know next time I will be doing a live stream. Hope you all had a good time, and see ya, pals.